So, jetzt gehen wir rein. The Real Speaker Knockerz Story. Heute hat mir schon ein Kollege so ein bisschen was, weiß nicht, könnte man sogar gespoilert sagen, weil er mir halt ein bisschen von ihm erzählt hat. Das war so einer seiner Lieblingsartists, Rapper, Producer. Und gucken wir uns mal an, was mit dem passiert ist.
It's the Speaker Knockerz.
Beat ist nice.
There ain't no more games, man. Turn up time, Speaker Knockerz.
Warte mal sofort, wenn das jetzt so eine Doku wird, wo einfach nur Clips aneinander geschnitten sind und keiner da irgendwie was zu sagt oder so, dann gehen wir auch gleich wieder raus. Weil fühle ich sowas nicht. Sowas fühle ich nicht.
Derek McAllister Jr. was born November 6, 1994 in the Bronx, New York.
Gibt es auch.
His father was a musician and aspiring producer. He would influence him early on as a child to explore his talents. But when Derek was 6, his dad would end up in some trouble, putting him away for 10 years behind bars. This was a big deal for the entire family and left Derek wondering why his biggest influence wasn't around anymore. Although his dad wasn't there now, he had already instilled his musical passion in Derek, and this never left. The older he got, the more interested in music he became. His mom would move them out of New York and down into South Carolina to a calmer environment. While attending Ridgeview High School, Derek started studying what kind of music his classmates were listening
So sind wir
to.
damals auch rumgelaufen.
This was around 2007, when uploading your music online was starting.
Damals noch mit diesen 3-Euro-Ketten von Hoodboys, Digga. Und die einfach so aus Alu oder so, das Scheiße war. Und dann Gold angesprüht worden. Die hast du zweimal getragen, dann wurden die irgendwann so grün, bräunlich oder so. So, das war eBay.
To become popular. The industry was vulnerable, and if you knew how to market yourself, you could potentially blow up overnight. Derek realized this after hearing how people like Soulja Boy were blowing up using these same marketing tactics. After learning that Soulja Boy was also making his own beats on FL Studio, he knew this is what he wanted to do.
Fucking shit, I can fuck your bitch, but if she stiff and ain't trying to split, kick her out my whip. I go hard.
He downloaded a cracked version of FL Studio and treated it like it was a video game, playing around with it every day after school until he taught himself how to make beats. At the time he was
Ich glaube, so ist auch das Beste, so allgemein einfach Dinge zu lernen, ne? Einfach so tun, als wenn das ein Videospiel ist. Und ohne richtigen Plan einfach rangehen. Und einfach anfangen zu machen. Also wäre für mich auch das Einfachste. So sind die ganzen Sachen, wie es mittlerweile wird, Photoshop, Sony Vegas und alles bei mir läuft, ne? So ist das alles im Endeffekt entstanden, ne? Ich würde mich auch immer noch nicht als einen sehr geilen Editor bezeichnen. Aber ich würde schon sagen, so die Basics habe ich auf jeden Fall drauf. Ich sag mal so, meine Videos kann man sich zumindest wenigstens mal angucken. Meine ersten Videos waren komplett asynchron. Also den Step von asynchron zu wenigstens ansehbar habe ich, glaube ich, schon gemacht.
just 13 and it was mostly just for fun. When his dad would call from jail, he wanted to make him proud, playing the beats for him. He wasn't sure where this was going to lead him, but he kept learning. Throughout high school, he would practice and he was getting better, but life at home and school wasn't the best. He decided to drop out, causing more fights between he and his mom, even getting kicked out for a little time. In an attempt to please her, he tried getting jobs, but wasn't getting any callbacks after interviews. He knew he needed to make some money some type of way. He started uploading his beats to a website called SoundClick where people could view and even buy them. At the time, this was very underground and not a lot of people knew about this. Initially it was slow, but he started uploading 3 to 5 new beats every day until he had over 200 beats online. Finally selling his first one for $50, he used the money to buy new Logitech speakers for his setup. Before the internet, you could really only sell beats to people you knew in person.
Was will er denn mit Milch? Oder der ist los, Junge.
So to make $50
Kann sie mal ausrichten von mir.
online was a big deal.
In my county, I ball hard like Devin Downey, and if you want soft, go buy Bounty. Hey, fly guy.
He stayed inside for the next 2 summers, only working on music. In 2010, his dad was released from prison, and the two were reunited again. This gave them the chance to bond over music like they did when Derek was young. His dad started helping him mix and master his beats, and Derek started rapping over the extra ones. Now he could record and produce his own music. He dropped his first mixtape, Flight Delayed, and at the time was going by the name Jamal Jr. The project only got a couple hundred plays, but he wasn't fazed by this. By this
Also schon mehr als meine meisten YouTube-Videos, ne? Taco, was geht, was geht. Frühstück. Digga, was ist denn los bei Ihnen, Junge? Ist der besoffen oder was? Jetzt frag mal, ob er Lack gesoffen hat oder so, Junge. Der soll mal klarkommen. Der wird doch wahrscheinlich... Ach, Digga, ich weiß schon wieder, wie das bei Ihnen endet. Das wird kompletter Reinschiss bei Ihnen heute.
At this point, his beats were selling
Schlimm mit
consistently online, and he was making good money for a 17-year-old. Shortly after, he changed his name to Speaker Knockerz and came
Aber vielleicht kann er auch, oder vielleicht legt er jetzt auch einfach seinen Tag, ist mir gerade so eingefallen, einfach so hin, dass jetzt der Morgen ist und dann, wenn er später nach Hause kommt, ist nachts. Er sollte besoffen sein.
up with the iconic producer tag. Meek Mill would be the first mainstream artist to use a Speaker Knockerz beat. The song was Tony Montana and was on Meek Mill's breakthrough mixtape, Dream Chasers. This was huge as Meek Mill would go to blow up right after this tape drop.
Über was ist die Doku? Über Speaker Knockerz. Der hat ein paar sehr gute Songs gemacht.
Bringing him a lot of exposure. According to Google Trends, throughout 2011 and 2012, Speaker Knockerz' name started to circulate for the first time, as his production credits were growing even more. He ended up producing for artists like 2 Chainz, French Montana, Jose Guapo, and Young Scooter. He knew if he was going to be the next big producer, he could use that buzz to promote his music as well. Dropping singles like All I Know and On My Mind, these would be the first songs to break 100K plays on his YouTube channel. It can be hard to stand out in the hip-hop world, but Speaker Knockerz was ahead.
Den Song, den Beat, den kennt man aber auf jeden Fall. Warte mal, was ist das?
Fuck nigga, I don't wanna be your homie. I had to make a couple bands by my lonely. I had to make a couple bands by my lonely. Rich nigga bankroll. Just a while ago I used to wear the same clothes.
Jetzt kann ich mir ein bisschen besser vorstellen, wer das ist.
Ahead of his time. Although it was catchy music, in the moment a lot of listeners didn't realize how influential these songs would become. He bought his dream car, a black Camaro, with the money he had been making off music and shows. It was like everything he set out to achieve was coming to life, and nobody was going to stop him going into 2013. Meanwhile, Gucci Mane, Young Dolph, and Cash Out were all rapping on Speaker Knockerz beats. It was rare at this time in music to have somebody buzzing on the come up as a producer and artist at the same time, and also doing it well. But he had more tricks up his sleeve, and he proved it in April of 2013 with the release of the Married to the Money tape. This would be his first huge breakthrough where many people would discover his music. The standout song Rico's Story would blow up. Although Rico's Story was fictional, it was arguably the best storytelling rap to ever come out. It racked up tens of millions of views and proved Speaker Knockerz had everything music was missing at the time. He didn't stop though, and he continued to gain millions of new fans over the coming months. He dropped his second tape, Finesse Father, keeping the momentum going. But in December of 2013, his song Lonely dropped, changing everything.
Man muss sagen, also er ist ja einer dieser Producer, der Leute, die gute Hooks, die gute Lines geschrieben haben. Ja, deswegen ist er vielleicht nicht vorne im Vordergrund gewesen, so, aber der hat auch ein paar krasse Songs selber rausgebracht. Er hat aber auch sehr, sehr viele Beats und sowas für Leute. Schade, Arne. Aber ey, muss ich auch sagen, dein Video war echt Film. Nächstes Mal vielleicht mal jemanden raussuchen, der da bessere Videos macht, weil jedes Mal, wenn der Clip geswitcht ist bei diesem TikTok-Compilation-Shit, Digga, ist der Sound irgendwie abgefuckt, Digga. Und der hat das doch einfach nicht rausgemacht. Weiß ich nicht. Er hat wahrscheinlich einfach TikTok-Clips zusammengeschmissen und einfach easy hochladen. Easy upload. Digga.
The song is his biggest to date with over 150 million plays, skyrocketing his career. He was on the brink of breaking out into the mainstream and had record labels now reaching out to sign him. He decided to stay independent under his own label, Taliban's Entertainment, as he had bigger goals. He wanted to write, produce, and perform his own music, keeping 100% of the royalties, something most people are not capable of doing. Vine was a huge thing at the time and people were using his songs, which started a trend. With that came thousands of Instagram and Twitter followers as well. It was the perfect storm. There was no question Speaker Knockerz was about to change the game. He proved he could make music for the club scene, the ladies, and lyrical storytelling, basically covering every avenue and doing it all on his own beats. It was unheard of. Although Speaker Knockerz was making huge waves in the industry, he still only had a fraction of the love he deserved, and people were still catching on to his music. On March 2nd, 2014, word got out that he had been missing for a few days, and nobody was able to contact him. After his family contacted authorities, they had to forcefully open his home. Derek was found lying next to his black Camaro in the garage. He had unfortunately passed at just 19 years old. This shocked the entire industry and raised a lot of questions. Authorities say there were no signs.
Und das ist schon lange her, seht ihr, es ist damals auch auf Facebook gepostet worden, ey, das ist way back.
Signs of foul play. In an autopsy determined he passed from a heart attack. A lot of artists have come and gone in the last decade, some claiming to be the first to start a trend or style, but often these are debatable. What's not debatable is Speaker Knockerz was always one step ahead in every aspect of music. A true trendsetter, an original artist, something that's almost non-existent today. You can hear traces of his style almost a decade later. He undoubtedly would have been one of the biggest and influential artists had the tragedy not struck. He was never able to truly receive his flowers and see the impact he had on music while he was still here. But with millions of fans and support from other artists, his name will live on.
War gar nicht schlecht.